ちょっと掃除。Okay, let's see.はあ、アイリスさん本当にいい子だよね。Hey Scummy, welcome back. Although I I don't want to take you away from Iris's stream, so all I'm gonna do today is some some CAD. There's a few models I want to make, a few things I want to print. And actually, I need my calipers, so I'm gonna go grab those. Your VOD gang time? Yeah, sounds good. Actually, either way, I do need to grab those calipers though, so I'll be back in a sec. Ow. Okay. 10 minutes. Oh, shoot. Has it been? Oh, check it. It's like right about 10 minutes. Shit. Sorry. But yeah, Skullmeat, if you're still here, thanks for popping by. But yeah, I couldn't find my calipers. So. Oh, they're here. I was like, where else would I keep them? I should have just checked my fucking drawer. Okay. Oh well, I did have to go grab something anyway, so it kind of ended up working out. Alright, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to go a little overkill and turn off both my screens, just so I can close all the tabs I had open. There we go, okay. Is there anything else that could be an issue? I don't think Discord opens to that side. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, she's... yeah. Nice person. Yeah. Sorry, was that from like an interview or something though, or was that like a just I wasn't sure by the form. It was an interview. Okay. Do you have a link to the full article? I try to pass my eyes over, you know, most interviews that HoloMem do, but I might have missed it. Okay, let's see. So recently, I've been using, because I'm a fucking cheapskate, I've been using Onshape for my not really critical CAD needs. Discord? Okay, cool. Awesome. I got it. Yes, thanks. Oh, okay, huh. I don't know why I didn't see this one. Oh, and it's fully translated too. That's nice of them. February is a Japanese company though, right? Yeah. Okay. Huh, interesting. Cool. I'll read it later. Let's see. Sorry. So today what I want to do, although I think you probably want to head out soon, right? So I should blur this. I gotta fix the camera. But today I'm going to CAD some... This is recording, right? Yes. Do it like that far, I think. I gotta figure out how to get this camera in the right spot at some point. I think this is a good spot. Cool. So, I have this low pass filter, and the issue is that the inductor in this LC filter touches the aluminum housing. So what I want to do is I want to 3D print a little mount. Well, right now, not only is it going to touch the housing, but I guess let's practice. So click this and it switches. There we go. Yeah. Not only does it touch the housing, but it's free floating. So I want a little mount that I can bolt to the front lid using like a 1/4-20 screw that sort of lifts it off the front cover and then also kind of secures it in place. So we're going to build that. There we go. Okay. Cool. So I'm thinking of what should I do? First, let's grab the inner diameter of this thing. like 22, 20. Let's say we want 21 millimeters for it to clear on the inside. So sketch, front plane, circle, 21. Cool. So that gives us something to work with on the center. And I guess what I want to do, and what is the depth of this thing? Bedtime. Alright, yeah, sounds good. Thanks for coming by. Take care, stay safe, have a good evening, and yeah, we'll catch you later. I'm gonna just, yeah. Yeah, I actually have a busy day tomorrow too, so I'm not gonna spend too much time catting. Let's see. 20, really? 20? It's, interesting. The height is about the same as the inner diameter. Okay, cool. Okay. So we also want this post to be, if the post is 20, it'll clear. So maybe what I want to do instead of this sketch is, it's already on the front, so actually what I'll probably do is, yeah, sketch front plane, and let's do this. Height 20. Let's say 20. Let's say 20. Height 20. And then I want to revolve this shape. And the inner diameter is like 21. So I want half of 21, which is 10.5. Okay. Okay. Right, so this shape roughly gets me the inside. Let's make both of these construction lines. Or maybe just this one. Right. I want something that like curves a little bit in the same way that this mount sort of curves. And I guess if it's a press fit, it's probably okay too, though. First of all, how thick do I want the top layer? It's like maybe the width of this, 4 millimeters. 4 seems kind of excessive. How about like 2? So I want to go 2 millimeters up from where the result, or where that center part ends. So this is the ventral height, and then I guess I want some arbitrary distance out like that. What is the total diameter? Total diameter is like 48.5, I guess. 48.5 is 24.25. So let's just say 24. So just 48 total, 24. This, let's see. let's say even half of that. 35, how about that? So let's say 36 or even 34, so that's 17. Okay. I think like something like that will grip it like just about enough. Yeah, okay, cool. So then, I'm gonna take these, and we are going to mirror. So, mirror. Mirror line, mirror that, mirror that, mirror that, mirror that, mirror that. Cool. Actually, I guess I don't need to do that, right? Because I can just do... Cool. And then take this entire shape and then... Cool. Now I have a little spool shape thing that we can use to hold this guy. Cool. Of course, I will first do a couple things. First matter of business is to go onto the top of it. Sorry, 1/4 inch is what? It's like 135 millimeters, okay. Not really. So that's 6.1 here. Is this zeroed? 6. Oh, let's do 6.35, give ourselves some leeway. Cool. And then we will True, let's see, remove and enter. Cool. So now we have the space for the screw hole to go through. And then lastly, still want to stay on that top surface. And I want to make a this scribed in a circle, and we want the circle to be 12.4 millimeters, I guess. Oh, actually, wait, yeah, this one. Okay. Huh? No, I want the radius of this. There we go. Let's see, so in that case we want the flat side to flat side, right? And that's 10.9. Let's adjust it into 10.9. And then the depth of this is 5.4. Cool. And then lastly, we want to split this into two pieces. Cool. So now we have the top piece and the bottom piece. So I'm just trying to think if there's a way to print this without any support. Honestly, I feel like it's small enough that, let's see, so I'd print here first and then... Oh, this is totally overhang, okay. Any other way to print this? Whatever, let's use it as an excuse to try tree support. Where did the other one go? I think it's probably best to print it this way, just because it will need support material, but it's going to be easier to rip it from the outside than flip this over and try to get support material out from the inside of the hexagon. So I don't like it, but yeah, I'll do it like that. What else do we need to print today? Here's this well that we wanted, but I'd rather print this. You know what? Let's just do them all. All right, so a lot of similar shapes today. Actually, wait, so this actually I think should be printed upright. It's a steep angle, but try it like that. I think this actually works without support. And what else did I need to print today? Can't remember, so let's just set the print. Yeah, that's pretty steep. That's not gonna make it. At least not without support. Alright, and we'll see how that prints. Yeah, okay. Well, kind of did the main thing I wanted to do today. It's still 9 o'clock. Oh, 3D print started. と。 Alright, let me turn off these first. I need to access my work GitHub, and I don't really want to show that, so we're not showing anything right now. Alright, so I wasn't able to find the virtual machine that he mentioned. So what do I do? どうしよう。使い捨てのノートパソコンがあったら。That's what I need, really. So you need some sort of development computer that runs this, and Oh, hello. Labrai, welcome back. I'm doing good. I'm actually waiting for a 3D print to finish. Looks like it's about halfway. I actually don't think it's going to be done by the end of this stream. Yeah, and I guess I'm doing a little more work. But yeah, I'm doing good. How about you? I guess to kind of explain what's on the screen here. I guess let's see. Well, what is this? Well, I guess I'm looking it up because I don't know what this is. It's called Milky Mist, I guess. And I don't quite remember the, yeah, I guess it's listed as an open hardware video synthesis, or I guess an FPGA-based open hardware, I guess, in general synthesis platform. I don't really know the whole story behind it, but the reason why it's relevant to me is because I was asked if I'd be willing to work on this. So this is a piece of software for a specific device that handles laser locking, and it's built on top of this one thing, these two repositories, one of which is called MeGen, or I guess, yeah, I don't know what it's pronounced like, but it's Milky Mist Generator. And it says, it's some toolbox for building, for digital hardware development. So FPGA, programming and such. And I was wondering, okay, so it's a generator of some kind, but what the fuck is Milky Mist? So I was looking that up because there was this YouTube video on what Milky Mist or whatever this is. So I'm on the viol, like the actual instrument. I can't play any musical instruments, so yeah. So anyway, I'm not exactly quite sure, and having gone through a few of these videos, I don't think this is necessarily a super relevant video, but yeah, I'll keep watching it a little bit, or watching a little bit more, but I don't know how relevant this video necessarily is to me at the moment. A lot of the information, I mean, it's presented really well, but I admittedly don't really understand a lot of what's going on. I understand what the person's saying, and I understand roughly what they're trying to get at, but it's, it's kind of just more like a, oh, okay, I see type thing. Is a Milky Mist. So I guess the way this person had described it, I guess Milk Drop is like a style of video, I guess. And I guess Milky Mist is the milk, and Milky Mist must inherit that part of the name because it's supposed to be dedicated hardware for producing those kind of visual effects. Now, why is it Milky Mist? I don't know, but I know at least the milk is supposed to come from Milk Drop. So where does the mist come in? I'm not quite sure. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm just watching this. There's a few videos. They're not too long. I'm hoping there's something relevant to me here. We'll see. Yeah. Actually, I wasn't planning to work this late, so whatever. I'm getting a little sleepy, which is maybe a good sign. Last time I left the 3D printer on when I was sleeping, and my throat got really dry in the morning. And I think it's probably because I was running all night, and probably the exhaust heat was probably drying up the room. So today I'm gonna wait for the printer to finish before I go to sleep. But plastic creams. Oh, this has a filter though. It does have a HEPA filter. Actually, so the technical, I'm not sure if you're familiar, so this might be a little bit redundant to explain, but technically what you'd be concerned with most, or at least when using PLA, when 3D printing. Fumes are actually a concern. Like, for example, there is a very small amount of, I believe, cyanide that gets generated when you use ABS plastics when 3D printing. It's a very, very, very small amount, but it is also non-zero. And I don't quite remember the mechanism by which ABS degrades that produces that small amount of cyanide, but yeah. Now I'm using PLA, so that's polylactic acid. I did check in the past. Cyanide is not a potential byproduct of thermal degradation of PLA. However, just in general 3D printing, there is just a large class of compounds, what they call volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, that do. It's a very broad class. It's kind of anything that gets generated when you heat up a plastic, or heat up really it's any organic compound it's in the name, right? It's any volatile organic compound falls under this very broad, and there's tons of organic compounds, right? But there are, from what last I checked, there are confirmed about 24 at least different types of VOCs that do get generated when you print with PLA. Now, which compounds you'll observe is somewhat manufacturer dependent, and none of them are necessarily shown to be toxic, at least in the case of PLA. Yet. They haven't been shown to be toxic yet. So the long story short is, while it's technically safe, or at least there's no observed immediate danger, we do have a filter on the exhaust of the printer. The printer is enclosed in like a box, and then it's got an exhaust with a filter on it. So it's as safe as it can be, I think, because right, we have it enclosed, we have the exhaust filtered, and we're using a material that doesn't have any known actually toxic byproducts. So I think it's as safe as we can get. Also, I'm in the office right now, so I'm hooked up to the central AC system, so that'll filter some air as well. So but you are correct in that in some sense, I'm not sure you'd call it fumes, but there are 3D printing does does kick up crap. It does release crap into the air, so you are correct in that regard. Yeah I think it's, I wouldn't be scared about owning a 3D printer because of it, but it is definitely something that you'd want to consider, right? It's in the same way, like the average person doesn't really need to care or worry about X-ray radiation whenever they get their once every several year checkup at the doctors, right? You don't worry about how much radiation you're being exposed to, because you only do it once every year at most, right? Or usually I think a regular person would do it once a year at most, unless if you have some medical issue, you might do it more often. But the technicians though have to be very careful about using that X-ray machine, or being near the X-ray machine all day, right? But that's just because they're exposed so often. So I feel like it's one of those things where, as you use 3D printers more, or if you use 3D printers more frequently, then it starts to become somewhat of a consideration. Yeah. Some people just leave them totally open. I'm not sure if you've seen, let's see, like, for a long time, this printer was considered kind of the go-to. It's very large, or maybe not very large, but it's somewhat fairly large, right? But it's literally just an L. It's like it's what I mean. Like it's fucking open, right? So in this case, some people put enclosures, but some people just run them like this, right? So like they do make enclosures like this, right? And this is actually very nice. Wow, the enclosure costs more than the actual machine. Holy shit. Anyway. So you know, right, exactly the same thing with soldering, right? You know, it's, you know, you can use unleaded solder, but even if it is unleaded, there are still some fumes, right? Yeah. Just print the enclosure. I wonder if it'd be cheaper. You know, it's a lot of plastic, right? Yeah. Yeah. Huh? Oh, the print finished. Oh. Cool. Let's see. Very, what do you call it? Basic. But, you know, my print came out. Let's cut off all this. I tried. Wow, the contrast is horrible. There we go. All this stuff on the outside. This is what do you call it? Support material. But actually, I can show you what I was printing. There you go. It's just literally it's a simple, like, think of it like a spool, you know. So what is this spool for? I'll show you in a sec. But let me just kind of take it off. It's for the death. Actually, it's not, but I actually haven't touched that. I need to find a, I think I mentioned before that while it has the hardware to cool, it doesn't have a control system for it. I'm still trying to narrow down, you know, I'm still trying to find someone that has a spare thing. Because in terms of supplying power to it, you know, I have some power supplies that I can use. But I just don't have a way to monitor and kind of do feedback on the cooling, so. Well, it would be if I turned it on, so, you know, I'm responsible enough not to turn on a laser that I don't know how to monitor. Okay, cool. So, 2 little spool things. Now, what the fuck are these for, right? I could sand that a little bit more. First of all, what I want to do is I want to see. I will giggle. Yeah, well, I will get fired. So, okay, let's see. I hope the tolerances are enough. I'm hoping that this hexagon insert will fit, and it doesn't. Ah, shit. Okay. It's overall. Okay, so overall, it's just printing small. Okay. Yeah, it's the tolerances weren't quite there. Yeah. I mean, I think I could actually jam it in. I just don't know if I should. You know, let me try jamming it in. These are all 3 of them? Yeah, except, you know, they still can. Yeah. They'll be blinded, yeah, sure, and then they'll fire me after they get back from the doctors, right? So what is the issue with this? I'm pretty sure. I wish I had like a mallet or something to smash it in. But anyway, so this is this is what it's for. This is a third order. It's a third order low pass or Bessel low pass filter. Or how should I string those words in whatever order you want. So it filters out or it what do you call it? It suppresses signals that what do you call it? It suppresses signals that are greater than 1 kilohertz, are painted on. You know, actually, so it's not that it's painted on, it's that I stopped coloring at that point. Yeah, so I might have pictures on YouTube. I might have some of the you know, making this model on YouTube, but really what happened was I was coloring the skin and I just got tired at that point, so I kind of just blended it and called it a day. Yeah. So originally, you know, actually, well, so it's funny because, you know, at first it was a full model, you know, just a rough sketch, and then I was like, I don't have time, so I'll just do the upper body. For the record, I didn't rig the model. The rigging was done by Nay, Nayy. I actually think they, I don't know, but they should stream, so you might be able to find them on Twitter or something. But anyway, yeah, so at first it was like full model sketched, and then I was cleaning the sketch, and then I was like, okay, I don't have time to do all this, so I did, okay, how about upper body? So I just did the upper body, and then I was working on the upper body, and I was like, okay, I still don't have enough time. So then I was like, okay, how about more than upper body, and also I won't even do the arms. So there's no arms here below that level. There's like no arms, you know. So then I was like, okay, so this is somewhat manageable. So I did the upper body, and then, but I still had to figure out the clothes, and I was like, okay, well, if I lower the model enough, then I won't have to draw clothes. So I didn't draw any. Oh, actually, I had a t-shirt planned, but I didn't even do that. So then I was coloring. I got finally to, like, you know, coloring the model, and then I was like, okay, this is taking too fucking long. So then I just stopped after the, what do you call it, the collarbone. And then I was just like, okay, this I can do. Okay, so yeah, save nothing. Yeah. Can I? Will the model track? Nope. Okay. Sorry, I don't want to move. I don't want to move the model because it's such a pain to get it in the right spot every time. But yeah, no, it's just cut off there. Actually, wait. Do I have the PDF of? Do I have the PDF of this? Or the clip file? Let me see. I might have it. Let me one sec. I can show you. It's oh, it is a PSD file. Okay. I don't know where the sorry, let me just hide the screen first. Cool. So now if I bring the screen back, you can see I'm in Clip Studio, and this is literally all it is. Like, I didn't even, you know, it's even partially incomplete right here. Yeah. So that's literally all there is. Also, this thing is not working, or this print didn't work as nice as I liked, or would have liked. So I don't know how much extra I need. It's like, how much is that? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, this is all there is to the model. Yeah. Huh? Why is the screen not coming? Oh, there we go. I have to put it back. Okay. The keyboard? No, it's mechanical. You know, you can pull it off, find it. Why did the screen just disappear again? There we go. Can see the red. I don't know if this is it's a TTC switch. I have no idea who the hell TTC is, but it's definitely not an official Cherry keyboard. Or it's not an official Cherry key switch, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would have expected it to be like Kale or Gatoron or something, but for a cheap keyboard. Let's see, just eyeballing this, it looks like the diameter needs to be more by like 1.5 millimeters. Well, actually, I guess the first thing I need to check is, and let me, do I still have Onshape open? I mean, so I'm gonna be honest, I don't quite understand this whole, like, keyboard enthusiast type stuff that's been going on recently. I mean, like, it's fine to have hobbies, but I also feel like it's, like, Gatoron Black inks. Isn't that just like the exotic, or maybe not, like the fancy ones that they recently started selling that are like pre-lubed with like can't remember, but don't they use some kind of like special like lubricant instead of the usual one or something? Let's see. So, well, actually, let's see. So this is okay. So I might be thinking of something else then. This is 20.8. It's running a little, or the models or the prints, yeah, running a little low actually. Interesting. Is it the same over here? Prelude as to, okay, but I thought there was some company that was using some specific like enthusiast lube or something, and that's why they were charging, extra. 33.5 up here. So sorry, this is 33.5? What did I say this was? Oh, here it is, 34. So this is supposed to be 34, but it's 33.6, 33.7. Sorry. 34 divided by 33.6, for example. So it's about 1.2% short. Is that the same down here too? This is 20.7 when it should be, what, 21 or something? 21, okay. 21 divided by 20.7. Is that also about 1%? Okay, so it's about 1.2 to 1.4% off. Okay. Keyboard commissions, okay. That's fair. Like, so I guess the thing I don't really understand about like keyboard enthusiasts, if it's okay to be really honest, it seems very, like, as a hobby, I understand it's like, it's the same thing as wanting, like, it's like same thing as like collecting, like trading cards or like fine china or like, pennies or something. And I get it. But I feel like so many people are like, oh, you need, mechanical keyboards and shit. And, like, and it's like, well, I mean, I can, as long as my keyboard works, then I can type, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's like there's I think there's a case to be made for times you do need certain keyboards. Like, for example, if you need analog functionality, then I know who there's a few manufacturers that have optical key switches, right? That have what do you call it? That you can that give you like analog values. So I can understand that. Have you heard them. Have you heard who? What? Oh, like heard the key? Like listen to, sorry, is that what you mean? Like have you listened to the sound of custom keyboards? Yeah, I've watched a lot of like comparison videos because I was trying to figure out, you know, like yeah, well, I mean, the thing I thought was really funny was the video with like someone that they had they had like a cardboard back to their keyboard, and it like sounded actually good. And you know, like it was like, and you know, for those, I think it's there is something to be said. Like for example, there are engineers that are essentially paid to make doors sound good, right? Like car manufacturers hire engineers, like sound engineers, to make their doors like the latch sound nice and premium, right? So stuff like that I understand, but like, you know, here's the thing, right? Like so I understand. And it's not like, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to gatekeep the hobby, because it's like, you know, you should just engage with the hobby as much as you want and stuff. But like in terms of like custom keyboards, like for example, I like, where are the people that are doing, you know, acoustic simulations on the housing, you know, as a function of like, say, the spring, you know, as a function of the, you know, whatever spring that you use inside the key mechanism, or like where are the people that are, you know, like using, you know, metamaterials to modify the sound profile of the key switch, or you know, where are the people that are using, you know, like biomimicry on the springs to change the actuation force, you know, curve. Like I guess what I mean to say is that I'm not super interested in the hobby because I feel like they're, you know, well, I guess what I mean to say is, if I were to make a custom keyboard, or if I were to get into custom keyboards, like those are the things I'd want to look into, right? Like for example, if you want to look this up, Disney Research has a few papers regarding what do you call it? Using like specially designed springs, or what is it called? It's let me look up the actual title. Disney Research spring kinetic model. Is that what it was? Here, kinetic wire characters. So what they do is they're and you can go ahead. There's a video here as well, so that might be more interesting to watch for you. But for example, in this case, and I'm saying you could maybe generalize this idea to maybe key switches. But what they've done is that they've created a library of specific like spring shapes, and I say spring shapes because it's not just it's like a wound spring, right? They have these kind of like they have like, you know, pentagons and hexagon springs, and they have them, or you know, and they have like zigzagging springs and such. And the reason why they have all these different shapes is because each of those springs deforms in a slightly different way. And they've created a library of those such that now when an animator wants like to you know, wants to create like a physical, you know, like say an animatronic type thing, they have a library of, you know, what do you call it, like archetypes, spring archetypes that they can match to the desired animation. So this gives them a way to, you know, without using too many servos or, you know, motors and crap, they can create very, what do you call it, like, you know, very accurate to the animator's, you know, like motion in physical models. Of course, you're kind of restricted because they can only do a certain set of motions, but they've created this kind of this workflow that allows you to go from an animator designing, you know, saying like, okay, we want this attraction to have these characters that do this kind of passive motion, or not passive, but this kind of, you know, cycled motion or animation, and then you can run it through this program and then say, okay, the way to build this would be to bend the wires in this configuration, and then you just apply, some repetitive force to it. So like you could use this so to me it seems feasible that you could kind of generalize this into more like a very microscopic form, and then implement it into a key switch, and then say, okay, I can have a key switch that has a variable force profile such that maybe, it's easier to rest your finger on it without actuating it, but then there's a specific location at which you can have a specific, maybe like say a sigmoid curve or something in the... Oh, right. The thing is just I've seen with most of the actuation profiles is that it's a function of the spring engaging and then disengaging with the contact that involved with the key input, right? Like that's what the blue switches are, right? Magic spring. Okay, well let me take a look. Let me take a look. Do you have a are they able to do anything besides a one-dimensional motion though? No, I think I found it. I'm assuming this is the general idea though, right? Oh, I can't show you, or you can't see my screen. I'm assuming this is the general idea that you're saying, right? Like you have some kind of spring that's wound in a specific... I don't see how this would cause that though. So maybe this isn't the right spring. I don't see how this would cause the curve that they just showed here. But like, I guess that's fair. I was thinking that this is restricted to a one axis motion, right? Like you only have the variable, what do you call it? Actuation force in one axis. But I guess for a key switch, you really only want it in one axis. So that's not really a downside. That's kind of just operating as intended, isn't it? So I think that's fair, right? Sorry, what part comes from the sum? The variable actuation force? I would have expected it to come from the spring though. Yeah, I mean, so what I was thinking was, like, let's see. These are kind of these are the kind of graphs that you expect, right? These are for the default ones, and I think here's some of more the nicer ones, right? Or the fancier, more recent ones, right? Where you have kind of a bump or two, right? And I don't know, I feel like you could tune that better. Let me see. Do they do what I'd want? So I guess they're saying that at up to 1.3 millimeters of travel, there is a... Sorry, I'm not quite sure how to interpret this graph. And I'm just using this as a hypothetical. But since they're at least actually advertising, do these both just have the same curve? Or are both of these switches reflected by the same curve? So I'm assuming you read it. Green side is the forward travel, and pink is the return travel. Is that right? So then, does that make sense? Sorry, let me just think about it. So when you depress it up to 1.4, there is a pressure point, or there you have. What does this pressure point do? Well, sorry, wait, that's confusing. Sorry. Am I reading this graph right? So the max force here is at the full travel. So this is the switch bottoming out, I guess, right? So this is when the spring is maximally compressed, and that's why, I guess, I don't know what the architecture of the spring is, but it must just kind of all kind of, you know, squish on top of each other maximally at this point. So I understand why there's a spike here. I guess it makes sense that there'd be a line here. Where's the actuation? Is the actuation this spot? Sorry, so they have, and well, I guess that makes sense, right? Okay, no, you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because this is right. This is when the this is the actual tactile bump, and then, you know, it's probably some kind of like if you look at, I don't need the force curve. I just want the animation. It's like this, right? Where, you know, you have that bump that it reaches, and then afterwards, after it passes the bump, it slips, right? And that's why the force drops. Okay, so that makes sense. So this is after whatever the tactile part of the switch, you know, slips. That's why the force goes down. And then I guess after that, you're back onto the spring. And then it maxes out. So then, right, so then the actuation, so I guess the actuation then is actually this, somewhere near the spike. It's not down here, right? So what is the operating point then? And also, so then again, I guess that means that the pink line must be the return path, right? So then you fully bottom out, and then you're letting go of the spring a little bit, and then, or you're letting go of the spring, and then why does I guess the force suddenly drops, which I guess, so something is slipping into position, which causes this sudden, what do you call it? This sudden drop in force, right? So you hit the bump, the tactile bump, and at some point, I'm assuming at some point here, I just have a hard time believing, or maybe, yeah. So wait, so are you saying that they intentionally, what do you call it, decouple the tactile bump from the actuation? Because to me that seems kind of problematic, no? Because that means you're gonna hear a click before you've actually engaged the switch, right? So, well, anyway. Yeah, you know, I guess this is fair. So I was thinking you could do some so right after. Oh, right. So then, which is why I guess we are on the same page then. I thought you had said something else, but I guess we are on the same page that the actuation must occur in this, or the actual, you know, key input must actually occur somewhere on this green parts drop, or when it first slopes down or something. But then I guess I'm still not quite clear why the operating point is, what an operating point even means at this point. But, and, you know, I was looking at, you know, I've seen a couple of these curves before. I mean, a lot of the, what do you call it? A lot of key switches, and maybe this isn't the one that you were talking about. I know you had mentioned that there's something called like magic springs, but, so maybe this isn't what you were talking about, but, what do you call it? But what do you call it? But nonetheless, a lot of the what do you call the force curves look something like this, right? Like if you look up, and I was thinking you could probably, I don't know, I feel like you could do something more exotic with such a system. But then again, maybe you don't need to. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, you know, it's probably fair that people don't do it because it's or don't deal with it too much because it's not that necessary. But again, you know, this goes back into what do you call it, the acoustic profile as well. But like I want to see what research has been done, for example, in you know, like there are tons of, you know, non-circular or non-cylindrical springs, right? Like what is the, like, I don't know, maybe someone's done characterization of the sound, you know, of, you know, these kind of non-conventional or unconventional spring shapes. But like, you know, like I'd want to see that and see if you can implement it into a key switch, or, you know, again, there are, like, you know, there are speaker companies that put what do you call it, quarter, I guess, quarter lambda, like acoustic channels in the back of their like subwoofers and stuff. And the idea is that specific frequencies will perfectly cancel due to the quarter lambda, you know, or I guess the reflection off of the back of the subwoofer, for example, will cancel with or because they'll be off by, you know, a quarter phase, or sorry, not quarter, half. They'll be off by half a phase. Yes. Sorry, they should be lambda over 2 channels, but you know, when the reflection bounces back, it'll be what do you call it? Exactly opposite in phase. So at least for the amplitude of the reflection, it should cancel with, you know, partially with the incoming acoustic wave. But like, you know, like I imagine you could do something like that with the inside of a key switch, for example. It should be, you know, since the sound of a key switch, I think, is relatively peaked at specific spot, a handful of spots, right? So then it seems like you should be able to make a some kind of acoustic metamaterial that targets specific ones. So I think a lot of people hate the clacking of key switches, right? So then, you know, how hard is it to, you know, make a passive, you know, acoustic, what do you call it? I guess, what are they called? But some kind of like acoustic resonator that, or not resonator, but, well, yeah, you could, you know, like, is there work being done on making like an acoustic resonator for like the low frequency sounds that everyone likes or something? Because maybe the idea wouldn't be to negate the high frequency clicks, but rather to magnify the low frequency sounds. Like, you know, like, I haven't seen, there's a paper on this. Like, I looked around, like, again, granted, I haven't looked in the past like year or so I don't know, but I looked for any, you know, documentation on this information, and I wasn't able to find it. So no, I understand people jam crap like that into the keyboard. Like, I saw people put like Play-Doh and, like, you know, what do you call it, the expanding foam and stuff. But what I want to see is, like, you know, like actual data that, you know, not just like, hey, let's just throw crap at the keyboard, you know what I mean? Like, it seems very, what do you call it, yeah, it seems very arbitrary, I guess, is the point, you know, like, right, like you know, like, for example, the gasket thing, you can model the gasket thing as just, you know, just sealing the chamber, right? So then it should be immediately, or at least, you know, increasing the, or I guess, you know, like, you could model that in software, right? You could just say, okay, instead of this much leakage, or this much, you know, like, you know, acoustic leakage, you have a lower O-ring. Is that not the one where you put it on the stem? Like, maybe it's something else. I was thinking of this, but maybe it's something else. What is this? Are they just doing it on the edge of the PCB? So this is what vibration isolation from the rest of the housing, is that right? Like this then? Like, is this the idea? You're just isolating the PCB from the housing so that it doesn't wobble / crash into it? Is that the idea? Okay. Well, I mean, again, like, why is that? Why would that even be an issue? Aren't these things? Well, I mean, okay, I don't know how the community handles. Oh, right. But I mean, what I mean to say is that you're physically separating them, right? So, and what does this do they or does the PCB normally rattle? I feel like that's just a design flaw, isn't it? Right? Like in a what do you call it? In a properly implemented setup, your PCB shouldn't wobble at all, right? Or maybe it's not the PCB. Less hollow. But it's still hollow by the same amount, right? Well, I guess so what do you mean hollow? Like the actual keyboard, like the inside here is less hollow? Because it's hollow by the same amount, right? Like it's just you've put a rubber band between the top and the bottom of the case, right? So again, to me it sounds like well, I mean, I guess wording aside, right? Well, right. So then to me it sounds like that I mean, this makes sense. But to me it sounds like less a improvement and more of a accounting for manufacturing flaws, I guess. Like shouldn't these things not resonate in the first place, because they should just be it is okay. Yeah. No, just making sure. But again, you know, this is one of those things where, you know, like I think you should be able to kind of theoretically calculate how much of an improvement you get. And it's that kind of stuff that I don't see, and as a result it's kind of, you know, hard to care, I guess. Cuz you know, I like you know, I like it seems kind of like, yeah. And you know, like I like really hacky solutions too, right? Like I'm all for, you know, if it looks stupid but it works, it ain't stupid, right? Like that's I think that's honestly true, right? Like if it looks stupid but it works, then, like, you know, who gives a shit about people who think it looks stupid? Like it fucking works, right? So I'm definitely, you know, I definitely agree with that kind of thing. But also, to me, like, you know, I think like custom keyboards would be more interesting if people just did more like more research. Keyboard stabilize. Oh, you know, I think I know. Yeah. Is that what it's called? I think I oh jeez. Yeah. Jeez. They even make like little versions of these. And you know, like, this is, yeah, right, yeah, no, I mean, like, again, if it looks stupid but it works, right, like, it ain't stupid. No, I totally agree. But just in terms of like, you know, like, for me it's like you know, like, I'm not totally disinterested in keyboards, but I'm definitely more interested in the, like, what can you do with it type thing. Because, like, the acoustic improvement, as hell. Well, again, if it looks stupid but it works, then you know, like again, I totally agree. Like, you know, if it just works, then, like, who gives a shit what it looks like, as long as it's safe, of course. But, you know, like, again, for me, like, I'd be more interested in keyboards if like, oh, these are the parts that interest me. Like, say, are I don't know. Like it's. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like, you know, I actually have a spare keyboard below me. Like I pulled it out of salvage, and I was going to and it actually has genuine cherry blues, which are a little hard to use because, you know, they clack as fuck. But I was planning to salvage the key switches out of it to make like a macro pad. And, you know, part of that's kind of just from a practical perspective, right? Yeah, right. I know. I agree. But you know, it's free. It came out of the dumpster, so like, I'm not gonna complain, right? I don't know why the board itself is shot. I took a look at it. The what do you call it? The keyboard itself, like the PCB looks fine, but well, again, you know, like it's, you know, like it looks like it's like, you know, maybe not decades, but they look very old, and the keys still, the mechanisms still feel like, you know, they feel like cherry blues. So I'm like, you know what, fine, sure, like, you know, but the point is I was gonna make a macro pad, and you know, like it's like those stuff I think are interesting. Like I don't know, like alternative or like, you know, novel input methods, or I'm not sure how I feel about the whole like ergonomic crap, have the keycaps on it. Yeah, so it's actually a very interesting layout. Do you want me to pull it out? Here. It's a very strange layout. It's not cherry, it's a Deso. For the record, it's broken though, so, you know, it doesn't do the key inputs right. Look at this weird ass, or I should show it here this way. Look at this weird ass layout, dude. You ever seen one of these? There's actually a reason for this layout, but very strange. Yeah. Right? Yeah, well, I mean, you've never seen a 16 key? you heard about 10 keyless, how about 16 key? Yeah. No, they combined like the, you know, the insert home delete shit and then the 10 keypad, so, and then they somehow, or for some reason they put this right here, you know. Yeah, no, I would want to get a hot swappable one too. I like this keyboard was just because this was a spare that the lab had, and it's mechanical, so I was like, I'll take it. But yeah, so this actually has a reason. This is a keyboard that's designed for like server racks. So this fits on in the weird narrow rack, so you don't need to put it on like a shelf that like folds out, or, you know, like this fits right in like a sliding rack, or what do you call it, like the sliding shelves of like a server rack. So there's actually a reason for this form factor, even, you know, as stupid as it looks. GMK. Nah, man, I don't even think these are, let's see, they're pretty shitty keycaps. I considered it too, but they're pretty shitty keycaps. Let me see if I can pull one out. Yeah. I don't have a key. Oh wait, no, do I? No. Sorry, I don't have a key puller. I guess you know what? The keycaps are so shitty. I was gonna swap them anyway. Let's just, you know, it's not recommended, but just kind of go at it lightly so it doesn't. Yeah, look, man. Like I'm pretty sure even the keys or the text is just like printed on, right? It's definitely not like injected, so. Yep, cherry with the logo. Actually, with the old logo. GMK, aren't those like the super expensive ones? Yeah. Yeah. Again, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I like I'm not gonna say people shouldn't have a hobby. Like, you know, I think it's fine as a hobby, but it's one of those things where, you know, I would be more interested if it wasn't just, you know, people Well, not that it is just people like burning through money, but you know, I'd be more interested if I could see all like the research that goes into like development. Like for example, like there's like at home injection molding now, like using like, you know, not using a 3D printer, but you know, there's you know, part of the workflow is to make the positive mold in a 3D printer, then create a negative in like resin or something, and then you would put that into the injection mold machine that you can like DIY, and then you could, you know, make your injection mold parts. And you know, like that stuff's interesting because then, you know, like for example for keycaps, you can use that as a like a cost efficient way of making, you know, repetitively making keycaps and stuff. Like, right. The resin ones are nice, except it's just so tedious, right? Yeah. I think I was looking into. Well, I guess the main difficulty with resin, right, is that you have to have a whole like vacuum setup, right, to make it work. So it seems a little inconvenient. Of course, you know, I say inconvenient, but I am also the one that's well, yeah, what did I say? Yeah, you're right. You have to have a vacuum setup, right? Yeah, to get rid of like air bubble. I mean, I guess okay, I think you can probably also use like an ultrasonic cleaner or something, right? But that runs the risk of damaging your mold and stuff as it's setting, right? So I feel like that doesn't make sense either. But yeah, so it's, you know, and again, of course, I say, you know, it's a lot of trouble, but I was also looking at electric discharge machining the other day, and I was like, should I buy an electric discharge machine? Like, there's a Kickstarter for an at-home electric discharge machine power supply, and yeah, and I was like, $400. That's actually not too bad. So I mean, I can't really criticize, right? But you know, like, cause yeah. So anyway, but like, you know, with like the custom keyboard, you know, I guess community, I see a lot of stuff about, hey, we built this thing, or hey, I built this thing, or hey, I'll put these things together. But like personally, I'd be more interested in the like, hey, you know, we ran the whole thing from simulating the sound characteristics to production. Like I'm really like, I'd be interested in learning about like that whole workflow. And unfortunately, I haven't really found very many, if any, videos about that. So I guess that's why I'm watching the community, but I'm not really engaging with it, to be honest. Drinking water or sparkling water? I drink soda. I drink Coca-Cola. # not sponsored. Yeah. So let me just work on this while I'm... Maybe if I lower this by like a millimeter. It's maybe like 4 millimeters high. Let's lower it by like 3 millimeters then. So this is 1.5, so this should be 8.5 then. And I think this got shorter now, is that right? Was it always this much? How do I get out of the selection? How do I get out of this selection? There we go. I just want the spacing between here. Yeah, I mean, sparkling water is kind of expensive, no? I mean... Oh, wait, where did... Ah, what the heck is going on here? Okay. So deselect that, deselect that. Okay. I want to know the distance from here to here. 8.5 sums. That... I guess that makes sense. Okay, so that dealt with that, and then I also want to... I think I did this extrude here. Okay. So what I really want to do is I want to adjust this hexagon, hashtag bestagon, to be a little bigger. Yeah. All right, yeah, sounds good. I'm just going to CAD this and then set it up on the printer, so... Violist, sorry, not violinist, violist, yeah. Yeah, have fun. Yeah, we'll catch you later. Let me just finish this. Let's say 11.5. Okay. So now if I commit that, then now this hexagon should also be 11.5. I think it's from here to here. Oops. 11.5, yes. Okay, cool. So then we'll regenerate the model. Violins are... I mean, I don't play any instruments, man. Don't look at me. But yeah, see you later. Let's gotta... yeah, let me finish this so I can go to sleep, too. Alright, so I think we're done for the day. So, everyone that came by, thanks for coming by. Thank you, stay safe, have a good evening, and I'll catch you from later. Let's go to... What's me... What do you...